So Montell Jordan was in concert, and he recently revealed that he's going through prostate cancer again. So I didn't know he had prostate cancer a couple years ago. So in 2024, he had prostate cancer, stage 1. And I guess he had a prostatectomy where, and I don't know how far he went with the prostatectomy, because sometimes when they either take out the full prostate gland or they take out a piece of the gland. So he went through that in 2024, but I guess it's back in his lymph nodes. And he's going through radiation therapy and hormone therapy. And hopefully he will beat this. I hate seeing all these black men having cancer. Chadwick Boseman had cancer. D'Angelo had cancer. Too many black men having cancer. So black men, especially if you're over 40, because sometimes they say, you should get your prostate checked when you're in your 50s. But today, with the food that we eat and the environment and just DNA, I think is important. Men of all age, overall men in your 40s, regardless of race, should start getting your prostate checked at least around your mid 40s. If the doctor says no, then okay, but get your prostate checked. But for black men, especially because black men are more susceptible to prostate cancer, please, please, please go get yourself checked out. Now, I will tell about my own experience with this. So I have an enlarged prostate. I had it last year. So they do so there's a couple of tests early on that they do. They do the DRE, the digital rectum exam, and they have a PSA. A lot of times, most of these guys, they go with the PSA. The PSA is the blood test. I had a doctor who did the DRE first. So the DRE is basically the finger and the goop and the glove. My man felt like E.T. His fingers were so long in my buttocks. I was like, please buy me dinner first. Can I at least go to Steak and Shake before you put your finger back there? So that happened. And he said it was smooth, but it was enlarged. So I was like, okay. So then I had the blood test, and my number, I'll be honest with y'all, my test was 13. Which sounds low, but for a PSA, it should be under 10. So they said, oh, your number's a little bit high. We probably need to get some x-rays done. So something happened with my insurance last year. I couldn't get it done. Year goes by, same test again. So I didn't do the DRE this year. Got another PSA test, and it was still around the same number, like 13. So I said, okay, definitely we need to. It's the same number. We definitely need to get an x-ray. Got x-rays. It's funny because I went in there, the nurse asked me, because they put me in this tube, and they said, you want to listen to 90s country and 90s R&B? I was like, give me the 90s R&B, which is funny because we're talking about Montell Jordan. So I was in the tube, they took x-rays, and they said my prostate looks good, but there were some markings that they wasn't sure about. So they said, that I needed to get a biopsy, which is, whenever you hear biopsy, that kind of scares you. So there's two types of prostate biopsies. I opted for the transperineal biopsy. And for that, you go in, you're on the table, you're in a gown, they sedate you, and then there's a hole in the table. Because I put my butt in the hole. I was like, no. Don't worry about that. So I was laying on the table, and I didn't even count backwards. I was like, hey, how? I was out. And the next thing I knew, I woke up. My balls was sore. I had ice on my nuts. And my taint was sore. I was like, what did y'all do to me? So I guess where that hole is, they kind of put needles or something through you, and they pull out samples of your prostate gland. So they said you'll be a little bit sore down there in your taint area for a few days, so keep ice on it. But they also say if you're having sexual activity, you should wait for a while, because your semen, we're all adults here, will first have blood, and then it'll be dry blood. And I was like, okay. So it was a few days. I felt better. I didn't need the ice anymore. It's like, I'm all right. It couldn't be that bad. Dude! The semen looked like a scene from Saw. It's like, oh my God. It looked like Carrie. Just blood was spurting. Like, oh my God. I'm like, oh. I was like, I ain't doing nothing else. But it's true. Like, eventually the semen goes from blood, which is super scary, shooting out, to then it looks like brownie mix because that's just dry blood. And it was like that for a while. And then your semen ends up clear. But it takes a few weeks for all this stuff to go through your system. So then the doc called me. And a few days later, after I had my exam, biopsy, and he said, "How you doing, Mr. Lockett?" I said, "I'm good. How are you, sir?" And he said, "Good news." I said, "I'm fine. Good news. You know, you do not have prostate cancer. You just have a big prostate." And I said, "Great." I guess what the markings were, they said it was just scarring through the years, and that happens. So I'm relieved, but it's not like I'm out of the woods. I still got a large prostate. And just because you have a large prostate doesn't mean you have prostate cancer. And just because my PSA was 13 doesn't mean you have prostate cancer. There are people who have their PSA numbers are under 10, like it's 5 or 6, like it's good numbers, but they end up having prostate cancer. So there's no rhyme or reason why this thing is happening. So if you're, regardless of race, if you're in your 40s, I would say go get your prostate exam. I know you don't want some dude sticking his finger in your ass. I understand it, but man, if it could save your life, please do it. But again, some doctors don't do that. Some doctors just rely on the PSA test, the blood test. But I would say do both, because again, when you're doing the DRE, the digital rectum exam, they can go around and kind of feel if the prostate is smooth or hard. If the prostate is hard, that's not a good sign. Luckily for mine was smooth. But like I said, I have to go every year. Like this is not, I don't have to, this isn't me in my 30s getting this done. It's like, oh, I'm good for another 10 years. No, I have to do the PSA every year, and I have to do, I don't know if I do the digital rectum exam every year, but it has to be part of my routine, especially in your 50s. So we're praying for Montell Jordan. Hopefully he can beat this again. It's sad to hear. Because you look at Montell Jordan, he looks like he's in the picture of health. And that's the thing about prostate cancer. There's no signs for prostate cancer. I think maybe if you go to the bathroom a lot, if you get to the bathroom a lot in the middle of the night, but that could just be from a large prostate. So that doesn't mean you have cancer. It just means you have a large prostate. Or sometimes when you go pee, it comes out slowly. Doesn't mean you have cancer. So there was somebody, I saw a dude that was in hip hop. I forget who it was, a few months ago. And he was saying that he went to pee and it was coming out really slow, and he went to get an exam and they found out he had prostate cancer. And I mean, and he had to go. They had to do something really fast. Like for me, my doctor, it was very slow. So I think they felt good about my x-rays and all that stuff. But for him, they clearly rushed him and say, hey, like there's something wrong. It's one thing if you were dribbling out pee, but we found something in your exam and we have to go. So if you haven't had a digital rectum exam, if you haven't had a PSA test, please do, because it could save your life.